So I just wrapped up Matthew's business cards, getting ready to package those and ship those. On to the next one. It's a local client, and it's a company called Glass Onion. They do stained glass, and this one's a little bit different for me. You know, typically I try to pull all the branding off of the back of a business card. I try to convince my clients it just doesn't make sense. But in this case, Kenneth, the guy who is Glass Onion, is an incredible artist and has developed kind of a real community around his brand, and his clients are really proud to own pieces by him, whether they're, you know, installed in their house or decorative pieces they're hanging somewhere. And so we took one of his stained glass illustrations of a peacock and we put that on the back with his name, because frankly, you may have, you know, a Louis Vuitton or Chanel bag that has that LV or those C's all over it. Sometimes the brand is really powerful. I think for most of us, our ego thinks it is and it's not. But I think in Kenneth's case, he really has created a community around it, and I like the idea of including it there. And I got to use Gotham Black or Ultra or some really heavy version of Gotham, one of my favorite fonts. And so it was a win-win. Anyway, what I just did was switched. Those little things are the guides for the register band for the bottom of the sheet and kind of how parallel it is to everything. And I had to get a replacement, and the replacement was that thumb screw. And what I found is that thumb screw, I can't tighten enough by hand to ensure that when the paper delivers, it doesn't move it around a little bit. And so you may have seen in previous videos, I've been fumbling around trying to adjust the one Allen wrench side because it was inconvenient. And so I just switched those. So the Allen wrench side is on the more open drive side of the press, and the thumb screw side is on the other side. So I can kind of leave that one set and do all the adjustments on the side that's more open. Anyway, just got the foil for Kenneth's job, and it's time to get it set up. So the copper is going down beautifully. I've got a little bit more to go, and then I'm going to let the press cool down. I think I want to hit the blue next, which is the most, that's going to be the challenge. And I think that might be all I get done today, besides the copper. So I want to do that now because it's going to be a little more difficult. So as soon as this is done, I'll turn it off, let it cool down, and then we'll hit the blue. So this is phase 2. This will be a blue that goes over the eyes of the feathers, and this one's going to be a beast. This is the part, frankly, it intimidates me a little bit. The register, getting this to line up, is probably going to be one of the tougher registers I've ever done. That's one of the reasons I'm making sure that I do these 2 parts on the same day as close together as possible. I may do the 3rd color tomorrow if this takes a while, but this needs to come immediately because changes in humidity, the amounts of time the paper gets run through the press, all those move stuff around, and this is pretty tight, so I'm going to do it right now. Like I suspected, it took all day, but man, that is I can't get over that. That came out just how I wanted. Man, Ken, these are some killer cards. All right, so last thing to do is we'll be putting the name of the company down. We'll do that tomorrow. It's the end of the day. See you tomorrow. And we're back. It's a couple days later. There was 4th of July in between, a couple other things I had to take care of, a huge proposal I was working on, and it's time to finish up these cards. I've got to lay down one clear foil. This is actually the die we're using for that. You can see what we've done so far. Man, I am really happy with how that's turned out. So we got a clear foil going right about there, and we'll lay that down, and then we'll start folding and gluing these, start trimming them out probably towards the end of the day, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's get started. Well, I screwed up. I accidentally dropped a word. The company is called The Glass Onion, and the card reads, simple fix. I'll just add the word "the" to it. Not that big of a deal. It just pushes production back. I feel really bad. I messed up. It sucks, but it happens. That said, these things are going to be freaking beautiful when they're done. Check that out. Yeah, you can't beat that. We'll get there. Aside from that, I wanted to mention something that I had never really thought about talking about here before, but maybe you'll find this valuable. Letterpress printing, foil stamping, and several others, but those in particular, there is a value proposition, there's a cost associated with the real estate of printing. That's not true with some of the other forms of printing. If I'm screen printing, I'm burning one screen whether I'm printing a tiny little bit or a giant, full screen size print. I've got to burn the whole screen. If I'm doing offset printing, those require a certain kind of plate that whether I use just a tiny bit of the plate or the whole plate, I have to burn a plate, etch a plate. That's not true in letterpress and foil stamping. Letterpress, I use photopolymer. You can use some other materials too, but I use photopolymer for that. And for foil stamping, I use 1/4 inch thick copper. This stuff is not cheap. I pay almost $2 a square inch for this stuff. And so one of the things I discovered is that because space is at a premium, if I use the native crop marks in Adobe Illustrator, they are very long and they're spaced really far out from the art. That means that if I were to do that, I'd be wasting a lot of material, copper that I'm not actually using for the print. But what I had done for myself was I created a set of crop marks for all the standard stationery size, for business cards, 4-bar inserts, for A7s and everything in between, for letterhead. There's quite a few of them in there. And I did that both with and without an outline all the way around. If you're letterpress printing in particular and the roller hits a line before it hits your art, sometimes I think that works better. I'd love to have a conversation about that if you have any thoughts on that. Anyway, I've got these smaller crop marks. The crop marks are shorter, they're 1/10 of an inch, and they're nudged in so that they are closer to the art. That means that if I'm using them, you can see how tiny they are there. They get really close to the art and they're short, and that means I'm not wasting extra space this way all the way around when I'm ordering my materials to print with. So I made them, and they're really simple to use, and they're available on my website. They're at afinepress.com/shop. I'll put a link below. Actually, I'll put a link directly to them below. And they're super simple to use. They're symbols that you can drag and drop onto your artboard, and then all you do is orient them vertically or horizontally. You can use the rotate tool to do that. And then you center them on the artboard. They're designed so that they are completely symmetrical, and if you center them horizontally and vertically on the artboard, then they're centered right where they need to be, and they're ready for you for print production. So I found them incredibly useful. I thought might as well make them available. So I'm still working on the shop a little bit, but those crop marks, they are normally $15. I'm gonna put a code below that if you use that code, they will be $5 off. That means they're $10 for those crop marks. And I've found that that saves me a substantial amount of time every time I'm setting up files for production. And if you buy them and you find a particular format that you use frequently but don't have in there, let me know. If it's something I think other people can use, we'll pop it in there and I'll send you a new set with those included. Anyway, it's the end of the week and I've got a couple more hours of work to do. Thanks so much for hanging along, and if there's a topic you want to see, put it in the comments below. I've had a lot of great questions come through my inquiry form on my website or people commenting in the comments below. If there's a subject that you want to see covered in one of these videos, I learned to print by YouTube videos, so I want to help others do the same thing. And so whatever you want to know, let me know, and if it's something we can make a video about, we'll try to do it. Thanks. Until the next time, if you could do what you do, hit like, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you next time.